Teacher support and amp/or advice. Any tips from male elementary teachers? I would have really liked if I could have observed and student taught under some male teachers during my LEd degree. I saw some great female teachers, to be sure, but I wanted to see how a guy operates and get some advice from that perspective, too. If you're a man teaching elementary, what advice would you share with other guys getting into the profession? I, am 45, have taught lower elementary for 23 years. I have a few rules. Never alone with a student. Try not to be alone with student moms, and if so, keep the door open. You will get hit on uncomfortably. Don't use your big male voice to scare kids into compliance. Get quiet instead. Cultivate your outside of school male friendships. It can get lonely working in a primarily female environment. Do participate in school teacher culture by sharing lunch together, but not every day. Value your unique responsibility as a role model. I teach HS. I am the only male teacher in my department. I keep it calm, professional, and warm. Human warmth goes a long way. Admit when you make mistakes. Most of all to your students. They need to know that everyone makes mistakes. Correct in private. The hallway, after class, praise in public. If you screw up in front of the class, apologize in front of the class. Take on some of the emotional work for your professional environment. Make appointments. Set up/take down rooms for meetings. Make the entrees for the get-togethers. Send emails. Write proposals. Don't take it personally. Kids. Parents. Teachers. It's usually more about them than it is about you. 10 years in the classroom, 5th and 6th grade, 3 in the library. You have to understand that lots of these kids, especially if you are in urban or high-poverty schools like mine, don't have a lot of adult men in their lives or have very negative experiences with adult men. It takes a long time to find your voice and find your footing with it. I'm still finding it with some kids 13 years in. Male 4th grade teacher here. The top comments really cover the biggest bits, but I just wanted to say thank you for joining the ranks. I desperately wish for more men in elementary education. A positive male influence makes such a difference in some kids' lives. The only thing I will add is that if you're the only man in your building, be prepared for everything that would entail. My school is extremely female-oriented and it drives me crazy sometimes, but I have to remember I'm there for the kids. Parents often show more respect for a man teacher than a woman, sadly. Have some stock things to say in support of your coworkers. When a parent tells me how great it is that I chose to teach elementary or their kid is so lucky to be in a man's class, I tell them it really doesn't matter. The whole team is great, we plan everything together, that project was Mrs. Smith's idea, etc. Never initiate hugs, and if a kid goes in for it, do a side hug. The younger they are, the more random the timing will be. Once one kid starts, a bunch of others will, too. With older kids, it's probably easier to just suggest a high five or fist bump, but the littles are really spontaneous about it sometimes. Just a general tip, there are kids who will 100% figure out how to push your buttons, and you will get angry. Your job is to make them believe that all you care about is their learning and well-being and nothing else means anything to you. That's inappropriate at school, and move on, no arguing. I had to say it to one kid so much last year that my other kids started telling each other when they were being inappropriate. I have just finished my 40th year of teaching mostly in 4th and 5th grade. Follow the common sense posted here. I have not had any problems even though I have usually been the only male classroom teacher in my schools. I have fun teaching, but have high standards for my kids. I also have high standards for myself, particularly in being a person that exemplifies high character. I am creative in my teaching, keep my class from being boring, and have empathy for my kids. I do all the same things that quality female teachers do. I drive old cars and don't worry about having more than a few sets of comfortable clothes. They don't pay me enough to be fashionable or to afford things. So I am poor. I stay very healthy and fit. Many students think I am 20 to 30 years younger than I am because they have no concept of age. I tell them I have been teaching 40 years and a couple of days later, some will guess that I am in my 30s. But they are like that. They all know that if they can beat me in a 5K race, they will have no homework for the rest of the year. They all think they can beat me, only one kid ever has when I was injured, and they are excited about not getting homework if they beat me. I don't even give out homework. It is a great job. Every day is different. And you can impact so many lives. I use the male characters on Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers as my role models. Quiet voices, but consistent. Male teachers can sometimes get drawn into being a clown or playing with students. Resist the temptation to be too jokey and don't let yourself fall into the Homer doofus archetype. Basically, it is okay if you are like Ned Flanders. For a lot of these kids, it will mean a lot for them to meet a really nice, sincere man early in life. There has been a lot of good advice shared here. You, through the interactions dictated by your personality, will need to learn what works for you. I've taught elementary for a long time, and I find boundaries to be important. Don't try to compete with your peers, because many teachers live for gossip and one-upsmanship. Be comfortable taking time for yourself. Kids can be exhausting, and it's okay to not share your thoughts in the teacher's lounge. Be professional during school hours/events. Pretend there are cameras and microphones on you when kids, staff, and community stakeholders are there, because there could be. Be careful who you let into your personal sphere. Don't share personal things with kids, staff, and community members unless you want all of them to about it. If you're a social media user, do yourself a favor before teaching and hide/secure all your searchable personal data. Make a new professional account for communicating with staff and community members, and never post student faces/names/in. 30 years in elementary. Taught 3rd grade for almost 20, now a PE teacher. I'll be honest, it's lonely sometimes. There were years when I was literally the only male on the staff besides an admin. There will be times when you will get the kid, usually boys, that need a male role model. Go with it, because you are a role model. Embrace your role, you will change lives. My elementary PE teacher passed away a few weeks ago. He was a tremendous teacher and is one of the reasons I went into education. As my career winds down, it's great to see/hear of others choosing the profession. I have the persona of the quirky, eccentric music teacher. I love my kids and the families I work with. I have never felt uncomfortable with giving hugs, being a listening ear, and being a good role model for the kids that don't have good male figures in their lives. The parents appreciate it, the kids appreciate it, and my principal, also male, comes to me to mentor problem kids, which half the time involves playing Pokemon or Magic the Gathering after school to talk to them. 9 times out of 10, these kids just need a good male role model, no matter how eccentric or quirky I am. Because I get to work with these kids from K6, I get 7 good years to build strong, lasting relationships. There are kids at the middle/high school that I've never had that know me, greet me enthusiastically, and ask when they can jam with the rock band I'm putting together. With all of that being said, my district is a unicorn in this country. We have built a very positive, welcoming, and inclusive culture in my elementary building. The kids see staff working well together, laughing together, and that trickles down to them. We aren't always sunshine and rainbows, but I find a little kindness and a male influence goes a long way in preventing behaviors and non-compliance. But yeah, I would gauge the culture of your building, ask other male teachers you work with what they do, and maybe even request to observe a senior male teacher to see what they do. Overall, be yourself. Kids will pick up on a fake right away. Not sure if you're married, but I encourage my wife to come around as much as possible and visit with my female colleagues. I think this helps them a lot to see me as a normal guy, not the weird random guy on staff. That said, I'm always super cautious what I say around my female colleagues. Also, not sure where you're teaching, but I spent 10 years in public school, and I've been at a private for 5 now. In public, I always got overloaded with boys who needed a positive male role model. It was frustrating. I'm much more appreciated at private, and I think they view having a guy on staff as a huge bonus. Kids will warm up to you sooner than parents. You will deal with a lot of why this age? Why not high school? Work on a clear, concise answer. Trying to avoid echoing what many others have said, a lot of CYA stuff that you want to be especially careful if as a man. Prepare yourself to be viewed as the disciplinarian just for being a man. Trust me, I am not. I am fair, firm, and consistent, but I get sent so many behaviors, especially boys, because they'll listen to a man where you have a deep voice. You are always noticed. This can be a positive and a negative. You stand out. Kids and parents know you. You will stick out in PDs. It is obvious when the one man on staff is not there. Any questions, feel free to private message me, always willing to help. Don't get stuck with all the behavior issues, cause admin may think kids listen better to a male if you are an effective teacher.